This is Architecture 360 on Rivet. I'm Lee Bay. Now, that music isn't for me, of course, but for the president, or more accurately, the Obama Presidential Library. Where will the library land? That, my friends, is the hottest question in architecture and political circles here in the new year. Everyone's talking about where the library is going to go or not go, but that answer won't come until spring. Until then, I'm more curious about what it'll be rather than where. And lucky for us, that's a question that can be answered now. A surprisingly overlooked document, a virtual roadmap to what the foundation and the president are looking for, can be found on the Obama Library Foundation website. And it's more than a vague vision statement. It's an actual request for proposals to which each of the now finalists had to respond in order to be considered. We'll go through a bit of it now on Architecture 360. So what's the benefit of a presidential library? For the host city, it's prestige, construction jobs, and the chance to reinforce itself as a national and global center of thought. Visitors get to peek into the life of a president, and presidents get to have a platform beyond their time in office. George W. Bush's library has all the presidential stuff, but the center's work also includes raising awareness and bringing help around the global AIDS issue. To accomplish things like this, the Obama Library Foundation says it wants a center that is, quote, a dynamic destination for national and international visitors. The center would have a major digital media component as well. They're looking for a very green and technologically advanced building. The group is also seeking one that is accessible by public transit, bicycles, as well as cars. A proposed academic institute within the center could also feature a degree-seeking program, the guidelines say. Judging from those guidelines and the President and the First Lady's interest, the campus green space is likely, in my view, to be very active, maybe even where food can be grown or rainwater can be retained and reused. What I found really interesting, the guidelines even call for a design that features biomimicry to, quote, create a living building, which is intriguing. Architect Norman Foster did this when he designed his Gherkin Tower in London. He made the building's skin mimic the exoskeleton of the Venus flower basket sponge. That's an organism that sits in strong underwater currents. Now, taking these guidelines and the recent cost and scope of recent presidential libraries and centers, George W. Bush's more traditionally constructed library cost $250 million. My guess is that the Obama Center will likely be more like $300 to $400 million, backed by a 9-figure endowment. Private funds will be used to cover all that.
Hail to the chick. Here we go again.
Now, with all that going for it, you can see why the University of Illinois and the University of Illinois at Chicago both want the Obama Presidential Library. So do the University of Hawaii in Honolulu and New York's Columbia University. The Presidential Library Foundation will recommend the winning bid to the President and First Lady within months, and an announcement will follow. And you can also see, given the time and expense it takes to plan and build a center like this, why making the Obama Library a first-class visitor destination is mentioned in the guidelines. And here's where things get just a little tricky. For a building that could cost $500 million to build and activate, we're not talking about a Disney-level attraction. The Adler Planetarium, the least visited museum on Chicago's museum campus, draws 500,000 visitors a year, far more than any presidential library. Here's University of Rochester professor Kurt Smith, author of the book, The Story of Presidential Libraries.
After the fireworks and after the opening dies down, key to any presidential library, key to any Hall of Fame, is what can you do to get the repeat visitor, the person who has been to a library once. What can you do to get him to come back a second, a third, a fourth time? And the answer is you've got to have interesting guests. You've got to have, in this sense, foreign guests. You've got to have seminars. You've got to have interesting political visitors. And the key to that is access, to make it as easy for them to come as possible.
That wraps Architecture 360 for now. Thanks for listening. I'm Lee Bay.